Alright, it is 8:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, I've got everybody muted, but if you have any questions while we go through, feel free to enter them in the chat. And while Allison's talking, I'll kind of man the chat. So I'm Casey Gilbert, nurse practitioner with Grace Vitality and Wellness. I'm here with a patient of mine, Allison Ash. So we are doing a talk on PCOS. So kind of what started this um, little venture with this webinar is Allison's had a lot of success over the last few years with her PCOS symptoms and with her weight loss. Oh, let's see. Let me mute. I've got somebody. Okay. Sorry, I've had somebody that I had to mute. But she's had a lot of success with overcoming her PCOS, we'll say, and with weight loss and overcoming some of her health issues. So, as we've been talking through this for a long time, I've known Allison a long time, and I've kind of walked alongside her entire journey, and it's very impressive. Um, she was like, you know what? I want to get my story out there. I want other women to know that you can combat PCOS and you can lose weight and be healthy and do all the things that I've done. And she was going to make an Instagram post. And I said, well, hey, why don't we do a webinar? Because you can only get so much information in a little Instagram post. Um, so she said, yeah, that will be great. So here we are. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let Allison kind of introduce herself and then we'll get started. So go ahead, Allison.
Hello, I hope you're here. My name is Allison Ash, and like Casey said, I have known Kate for a really long time, and she and I have done a lot of life together, but also she has helped me in a tremendous way with learning how to treat my body the way that it's designed to be treated and to do things the right way and not just go off of what one doctor has told me for many, many years, thinking that that's the way that life is. So I wanted to share my health journey with polycystic ovarian syndrome and all of the things that went along with that, self esteem, hormones, all of that that goes with having something off, um, in your body. So I actually first diagnosed with PCOS. I was 16. At the time, I complete transparency here, right? Um, I have not have a period. So I was 16 years old. I never actually had a period, and my mom took me to our pediatrician because that's what you do. So we went to the pediatrician and talked to that doctor at the time as to how I've never had a period before. I was 16, and the first thing that was done was to put me on oral birth control. So I started birth control when I was 16 in order to have a period. So it started with that. And I thought that was the answer and didn't know that I had PCOS until about 3 years later when I went to the doctor because I was on birth control, but still not regular. My periods were very irregular, I I wouldn't have one for 6 to 8 months, and then I would have a period for 2 months in a row. And then sometimes it would last for 2 days, sometimes it would last for 7 days. It was just very erratic and not something that I could rely on. I was always worried that I was either going to have a period or not have a period. So at 18, I basically just took myself off of birth control and just said, you know what? I'm not trying to have a baby. I wasn't doing anything and to think that I could get pregnant at the time. So I just said, I'm just gonna get myself off birth control. And so at 18, after 2 years of doing oral birth control, I just stopped. And um, I didn't go to the doctor about it. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just stopped taking it and my periods just stopped. And then at the time, my weight significantly increased. I was always on the heavier side. Um, in our group of friends, I always knew that I was the bigger friend, but I didn't know that not having a period and my weight went hand in hand. I had no idea. I just thought it was because I was the way that I was eating or not exercising, or, I would go on Weight Watchers. I would do so many things to try and lose weight, and I would lose maybe 5, 10 pounds, and then I would gain it right back. I had no idea that hormones related so much to weight. Um, and then when my husband and I got married, I was 25, and I remember I took myself off birth control since I was 18. And when I got married, I was like, you know what? It was about 6 months before I got married. I went to the doctor and I said, before I get married, I need to get on birth control or something. So went back to the doctor, did the entire workup of everything. Um, and I went to a different doctor and she put me right on oral birth control. And told me, yep, you do have PCOS. All your markers are, very high testosterone, very low estrogen. But let's put you on an oral birth control to regulate that. And I was like, okay, then that's the answer. That's the answer to PCOS is birth control in my brain, because that's what I've always been told. That was the answer. It had no, and at that time, I was also told that I was pre-diabetic. So, not knowing that PCOS and insulin resistance also go hand in hand until doing research later on in life. But the pre-diabetes, so diabetes, it does run in my family. My dad's mother, my grandmother, she had diabetes very severely. My dad had diabetes, um, and and I have aunts and uncles. It just runs in our family. So I thought diabetes runs in our family. So I'm going to get diabetes because it runs in our family. I didn't know also until learning that you don't have to have diabetes. If you're pre-diabetic, that doesn't mean you become diabetic. Um, so again, that was just my lack of knowledge at the time. So when my husband and I got married and I went on birth control, and um, we weren't ready to have kids yet. So about 2 years into our marriage, we started the conversation of wanting to try and have children. So I went back to that doctor who put me on the birth control at age 25. And I said, okay, I'm 27 now. We're wanting to start trying. And we did a lot of testing because of the PCOS. We did a lot of blood work. And she basically said, this is going to be really hard for you guys to get pregnant because of your hormone levels being so, um, not the way it needs to be. So she put me automatically on a different drug. Um, she never talked to me about my diet, my lifestyle, um, anything like that.
And this was your OBGYN. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yep. And she was wonderful. But there was not any teaching or coaching about lifestyle or other ways, other naturally alternative ways other than medication. So, or even healing my hormones. I did not have that discussion at all.
Mm-hmm.
Or that I was pre-diabetic and insulin resistant, and let's talk about some things that I can do to counteract that. Zero discussion.
Yeah.
It was all about medication.
More or less, this is your fate. Live
Yes,
with it. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. So 3.5 years of trying to get pregnant. And a second doctor telling me that it was just not going to happen. Um, I really thought, okay, so then this is my fate. We're going to adopt. I didn't know. I had no idea what the plans were, what the Lord was doing. And so bef- we were kind of going to do the IVF. We were about to, when she changed the medication that I was on to a different medication. And I also started a health journey at the time and was doing a fad diet, which was shakes that you could order.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did it religiously and I did not do it healthy. Basically, stopped eating and I went all on these shakes.
Mm-hmm.
I did lose 30 pounds. And with that and the combination of the new medication, I was able to get pregnant. But I accounted it for, oh, it must have been the new medication.
Right.
I would, you know, weight loss and insulin resistance also go hand in hand. So when my weight went down, my hormones were kind of starting to level. And then with, the fertility treatment that I was on, I get pregnant. So I had my daughter, Jocelyn, who, after two doctors telling you that you're probably not going to get pregnant naturally, I just thought, this is a miracle. It is a miracle. And then went back on a birth control after we had Jocelyn because we didn't want to get pregnant again right away, even though I didn't know if we could or not. But we didn't want that. So instead of an oral, we did the IUD, or I did an IUD. And that was not a good experience for me. Something with that in my hormone levels did not agree. Um, my body just rejected it and she had to remove it within like 45 days of putting in the IUD. So all of that to say, still no education from the doctor at the time about me being pre-diabetic, about my hormones still not being the levels that they should, about how my testosterone level was very high, my estrogen level was very low. No education about how to fix it.
Yeah.
They just, here's medication. Here's something that, let's try this. Let's try this. Instead of, let's look at your lifestyle. Let's look at, um, are you eating protein? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you sleeping? Are your cortisol level? I didn't even hear about cortisol level until I went to a functional medicine doctor. Um, so 4 years after having my daughter, um, I again, 3 years after that, excuse me, I just stopped all birth control again because we want to try to again get pregnant, and found out I was pregnant with my son very quickly after that. Um, the Lord just knew we needed our son for some reason. And so the second pregnancy was, much more easy than
Mm-hmm.
as far as getting pregnant. Um, but then after that, after I had my son, and I knew, and looking at pictures and looking at myself, I'm like, I don't even recognize myself. I didn't. I hated having my picture taken. The weight that I had gained and kept, and just I felt sick and tired all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was always worn down, and I just thought it was normal.
Right. And you were
And
pre-diabetic at this time.
I was still pre-diabetic, yes, with a A1C of over 6. So I just thought that was normal, and I just thought that that is just how you're supposed to feel when you're overweight,
Yeah.
and I have PCOS, so it's hard for me to lose weight. I have PCOS, it's hard. And it is more difficult to get weight off of your body when you are insulin resistant, but also there is a way with weight loss and weight training and healing your gut and getting your levels, under control, that it does make it more manageable to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
So In the fall of 2022, I got to the point where I was tired of feeling the way that I felt. I got to the point in my mind, and this is where I think every single person who is tired of feeling a certain way
Mhm.
or tired of looking in the mirror and seeing a certain thing that they don't like to see, there has to be a decision. It can't just be, oh, I don't like it, but yeah, maybe one day,
Yeah.
maybe one day. I'll get to that. I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. Let me try this again. No. Like there was a time that I cried in the car and I knew if I don't make this decision, I never will. And my kids will never see me fully happy with who I am. So there had to be that decision. So if you are on the fence or not sure, then you're not ready.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Once you're ready, and then you're going to do anything to stay consistent because it's not a fad diet. It's not a let me try this for 6 months.
Mhm.
That's not what a lifestyle change is. Um, so the fall of 2022, I reached out to Casey and I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm sick and tired of it. Where do I start? Because my doctor, she's going to tell me to go on birth control. And I know that's not the answer. So tell me what to do. Right? What I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yep.
And Casey said, I know exactly who you need to go to. It's a functional medicine doctor. They're going to do all the lab work. They're going to get to the root cause of what's happening.
Yeah. And at the time, I did not have my clinic, so
Correct.
it was
Correct.
early on in this journey. But so tell me about that experience. What going there? What did they do?
I so I went to a place in Charlotte. I was very scared to go because in my brain, I was like, this literally, it's either this or it's nothing.
Yeah.
So when I went in and they did so many labs. Um, and I had to do, not just blood work. Like it's like, the fecal
Mhm.
and everything, urinalysis, everything. Um, and when I got on the scale there at the function medicine doctor, I'll never forget the number and I'll share it with you guys. 227 pounds was my weight in late August of 2022.
And because people watching this don't know you, and I'm sorry, I turned my camera off. We have snow where I'm at, and the internet has been a little not that great today. So, but if I turn my camera off, it doesn't scream at me that my internet's struggling.
Okay.
So, that's why I keep going in and out. You're how tall?
I'm 5 foot.
Okay, so 5 foot and 227 pounds. Was that the heaviest that you had, other aside from being pregnant?
Outside of pregnancy, that
Yeah.
is the highest that my weight has ever been.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
So um when I saw that number, I was very defeated. Um I knew that my mindset was I was there. I was ready to make a change. So through getting all my labs done and finding what my levels were, finding out that my cortisol level was through the roof.
Mhm.
Um, had no idea that what I was dealing with all those years was my gut health and my hormones were completely shot. Um, and so the first thing that they talked about was healing my gut and healing my hormones.
Mhm. And I'll
Um,
talk a little bit, speak to your what they told you. Because
Hmm.
we talked a lot about it. Just for people that are curious, what did they tell her? Your insulin level was high,
Hmm.
of course. Your testosterone was high, but nobody had ever tested your insulin, I would imagine.
No.
And then your cortisol, of course, was through the roof. You had some
Yes.
yeast, a lot of yeast in your gut.
Yeah, I
Um,
did.
and you also were having stomach issues too. So you were having some GI stuff going on. So you could,
And I just, yeah, I just thought, oh, it's because, being overweight or um, I was eating fried food. It just didn't, agree with me. But yet it started to be, a couple of times a month, I would have stomach issues. And then I always told my husband, I was like, oh, it's my left side again. It's just my left side again. Oh, and it became a regular thing to where it was 2 to 3 times a week.
Mhm.
This is not normal. It's not normal stomach pain like this.
Right. And your cholesterol was high too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I have family history of high
Mhm.
cholesterol. So that's what my other doctor has always said. Well, you have the family history of high cholesterol. So we'll probably put you on a statin. And I was like, no, no, there's got to be a different way. Um, so again, when when the functional medicine doctor was going through all of my results, and then coming up with a game plan, and I think that was the most exciting part, and I think that is what's great about what you're doing at Grace Vitality is once you have the numbers from your labs from what personally is going on inside your body, then you come up with the game plan of how to heal it from the root cause and not just put a medication on it. um, and that was game changing to me, because it also went through a nutrition, um, not only with doing the weight loss. It's starting to understand how to feed my body the way my body tolerates some food and doesn't tolerate other food, if that makes sense. um, so when going through the process, and it took about the first 4 months, I saw about a 20-pound weight loss,
Mhm.
with working with my nutrition. I started at Burn Boot Camp at the same time. So I was doing cardio and weight training. Um, I I knew it had to be a daily consistent change. Um, and so that's where I started. I started with my daily habits because it if it's going to be a fad diet, it's not going to last. But if it's a daily choice and consistency, it will last. Um, and after going the holistic functional medicine way, I was getting the answers that I always sought after instead of just a doctor telling me to try a different medicine.
Yeah. Or offering birth control.
Correct. Because that's what I always thought since I was 16 is
Hmm.
that birth control was the only answer to PCOS.
Right. And unfortunately, that is the way of the world out there in just the traditional healthcare setting. A lot of providers give women metformin, spironolactone, birth control. Those are kind of the three biggies for PCOS, and it's not really addressing the underlying cause. If you have PCOS, you have insulin resistance. If you're
Mhm.
insulin resistant, I think we had this conversation. Your risk of everything goes up, not just diabetes, but heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, stroke, all the things that we don't want. So, I remember having the kind of frank conversation with you, Allison. If you don't turn the tide at this point, because you're mid-30s, then you're heading in a bad direction. Um,
Conversation. I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew that because having been in healthcare for all these years, I've seen it time and time again. So when you were at functional medicine, they also put you on progesterone as well
They
during
did.
at that time,
Yeah.
which is going to also help regulate your hormones and drive down your testosterone because that's a another hallmark with PCOS is elevated testosterone, which it causes a lot of like the excess hair and the inability to lose weight and the fatigue and some of those symptoms that PCOS women struggle with. So they put you on progesterone to help with that. They also put you on some supplements to address some of your other imbalances, and then they
Yes.
put you on a supplement for your cortisol levels to
Yes.
get your adrenals because at the end of the day, adrenals are the foundation of all things hormones. So we have to, our adrenals need to be working properly to have everything else fall in line. So our insulin levels rely on adrenals. So if we're not, the adrenals are not producing correctly, then our insulin levels can go haywire. And then our thyroid depends on that, and our testosterone and our estrogen, all of that depends on that. And nobody in a traditional setting is ever going to look at your cortisol. So had you not gone, you would not have known that information and been
Mhm.
able to work on that.
True. Very true. Because again, in the first, I would say, 20 years of from, well, 21, from the age of 16 to 28, like or 38, no one ever talked to me about my cortisol level or
Hmm.
adrenal or anything. Just there was never a conversation of let's get to the root cause of what's going on inside your body. And I think with all the lab work that functional medicine does, did she put me on the doctor put me on a the supplements based off what my body was lacking,
Right.
not just supplements that are on I-6. So I think that was also a big takeaway, was that when, like, for what you do and for what she did for me, they you look at what is lacking in that, in my body, the zinc, the copper, it was all of it. And that's exactly the supplements that she started me on.
Hmm.
um and I was on the progesterone for, I think, 6 months.
Hmm.
um, and with changing my diet, starting to move my body, and the supplements that she put me on, I started to have a regular period
Hmm.
for the first time ever, ever.
Yeah.
Um, and the first month that I had my period, I remember I called my mom and I told her, I was like, Mom, I have my period. And she about, um, because and I know that is so silly,
Hmm.
and I'm going to listen to this and be like, oh, no, whatever. But for a 38-year-old to be excited to have a period without being on birth control was the first experience for
Yeah.
me.
Oh yeah. No, it's not dumb. I have several women that have had that same experience. It's just it's life altering to go because you know that your body should be doing this one thing and it's not. And so
Right.
for it to start doing that, that's a big deal.
So, and then when I got my period the next month, and then the next month, and then the next month, and it was just like, okay, my body's actually doing what it was made to do.
Hmm.
Because so long, I felt like my body was just not doing what it was made to do. And I felt something was wrong with me. And, with the weight gain and the fatigue and just the irritability and all of it, I just thought it was normal.
Hmm.
Me, it was normal for so long. Um, but with making those small changes, but doing it consistently has been life changing. So when I started with the functional medicine, so I did that for a full 12 months. And then when you opened your doors, um, and started your business, you and I talked extensively about what my goals were and what I still wanted to get out of my, my journey, weight loss journey, and just to be healthier and to not go back to the way that I was feeling before.
Mm-hmm.
I started with your program in March of
Mm-hmm.
last year. And since then, my weight, so when I started the fall of 2022, I was 227 pounds. And as of yesterday, the scale said 162.
Woo!
So I am 65 pounds down.
That's awesome.
Uh, has it taken me over 2 years? Yes, it has. Am I on some sort of time schedule to get? No, I'm not. Because what I wanted it to be was a lifestyle change.
Right. You wanted to do
And
it the right way.
correct,
Mm-hmm.
correct. Because I have lost weight fast before and I gained it all
Yeah.
back.
Oh, yeah.
All it and more. Um, so with so when I started when we did all of my labs again, and you did that, and we went through what they were when I started with the other functional medicine doctor and what they were March of last year,
Mm-hmm.
there was a huge difference just then. But now when I do them again in 2025, I'm very excited to see what I could
Yeah.
change.
To see where you're at. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're still doing burn boot camp
Yes. Yep.
for
So I
exercise.
still, and I've found this. I know this is going to sound crazy because I used to make fun of women who used to say that they love working out because I'm like, no, I'm never going to love working out. Um, but if you find something that you love, then it's easier to do it consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So if you love walking, or if you love jogging, or if you love weightlifting, or if you love aerobics classes or Pilates or whatever it is, if you don't love what you're doing, then find something else.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck just because, you tried it 4 times.
Right.
Um, but the I do. I love working out now, and I never thought I would say that. I used to make fun of women for saying that. Uh, but I do because the how you feel or how I feel after a 45-minute burn boot camp, stronger, proud. Oh my gosh, like just all of the things that I can't believe my body is able to do now. That when I started at Burn Boot Camp, I was doing push ups against the wall because I couldn't do them on the floor or I couldn't do them elevated yet.
Mm-hmm.
And to see the progression that I've made since then
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, another I guess non-scale victory, I guess is what they call it. Um, I am not ashamed of having my picture taken. And that's huge
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have to hide behind one of my kids in a picture or a pillow or something in front of me before someone takes my picture.
Right.
Um, because I don't want my daughter to ever feel that way. I want to, and she was a big reason as to why I started this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because I wanted her to see what it was like to be proud and not be um, going to a Weight Watchers class with your mom. Like, I didn't want that.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to understand what it was like to treat your body the way God intended you to treat
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, because as women, as moms, as daughters, as sisters, we make sure everyone else around us is taken care of.
Absolutely.
And we forget to take care of ourselves.
Hmm.
And by forgetting to take care of ourselves, we're teaching our children that other people come before who God gave you first, and God gave you one body.
Yeah.
And some people say, oh, self care is selfish. Yeah, it is, because you have to do it,
Yeah.
because no one is going to do it for you.
Right.
And that itself is selfish, but you have to do it for you. Um, because when they have something at Burn where when we're lifting weights or we're doing something, like a leg exercise, the trainers will say, because when you are aging, I'm turning 40 next month. When you're aging, you need the muscles
Yep.
around your protect yourself.
Hmm.
And if you don't strengthen that, it will only decrease in as you age. So if you're not working on it to keep your mobility, to keep your strength, your bone density, all of that up, you only get one try. You
Right.
only get you can't have a do-over when you're 85.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, and two other non-scale victories for you. You wear jeans. I've never
I'm
ever
I'm wearing jeans right now.
I've never seen you in jeans until the last couple of years. So that's a big deal for you.
It
Doesn't seem
is.
like a big deal for a lot, but for you, that's a big deal. And you wear shorts, but you've never worn shorts before.
Hated shorts because I always thought shorts were just riding up the thighs. Like I'm like they never make shorts right. And I didn't think, oh, it's because my thighs were very large.
Right.
uh, but the confidence is has been huge.
Huge. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So,
actually fun to get dressed and go shopping. I hated shopping. I still don't love it, but I hate like with a passion. I never would do it. I would only wear leggings and a long tunic. A leggings and a tunic. That was
wardrobe.
that's all the time. And now I'm wearing jeans and I wear shorts to work out in. And it's just, yeah.
Hmm. That's awesome. So, terzepatide is what you're taking.
Yes.
You've continued to have a period every month. Do you still get periods every month?
Every month. Yep.
Okay.
I have, and it's a consistent one too.
Hmm.
So, um, probably since April or May of last year,
Hmm.
I've had a period every month.
Yeah.
Yep.
And any issues with the terzepatide as far as side effects or anything?
No, no. And I always, I was very, before, you and I were talking about the medication and what I should try um, I was reading up on the side effects and I was like, okay, if this happens, then I'll just stop. Or if I do have the upset stomach after every time I eat, well, that'll stop. Or if I do get the heartburn, I'll just stop. I have not. I have not. If anything, I have seen more energy come from it. The the ability to so I do take my shot every single Sunday. I've tried to be very consistent with when I take my shot.
Hmm.
I've been able to increase the dosage as you're recommending, and I've had no side effects to it. Negative side effects.
Right. Right. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So this year or here soon, we are gonna kind of hone in again on hormones because
Yeah.
you're 40. And so now that you're getting this age or to this age, it's now we're thinking shifting gears into some perimenopause stuff. So we're gonna recheck everything and see where you're at. Recheck your testosterone, all the things, cortisol, do it all and see where you're at now after almost a year. on the tirzepatide. And you did the tirzepatide because you had lost weight, but you had hit a plateau. So your lifestyle stayed the same and you were still
Yeah,
eating well, but you had plateaued.
I had. So the first, it was a good 5 months. So 4 months, I lost about 20 pounds after starting with the functional medicine. Um, and then it just kind of stayed like at
Yeah.
I think it
At
was
20.
198. Like I just couldn't get down. No, I wasn't even in, no, I hadn't even hit 200 yet. Cause I remember I called you the day I hit under 200.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just couldn't get below 200. I'm like, I'm, following the nutritionist, I'm following, and it was the insulin resist. It's like I needed that help, that push to help me get the weight loss moving
Get over
again.
it. Yeah. Because with PCOS, it's a struggle, as you've said. It is a struggle with the insulin resistance, especially. Women have a hard time with weight loss. And the other thing too with PCOS is, and this is what I tell my patients because I see a lot of women with it and they have had the same experience that you've had in terms of lack of education and lack of understanding. Everyone associates PCOS with a reproductive disorder.
Yeah.
It is a metabolic disorder. If you have PCOS, are insulin resistant. And again, the insulin resistance increases your risk of all those things. So, but nobody talks about that. No one, these women do not understand, and it's not their fault, but they're not given the information that, hey, you have PCOS, that's increasing your risk of a lot of things. Let's do something about it.
And I didn't learn that until after talking with a functional medicine doctor and talking with you as you were learning as well. Because as you were learning these things and sharing them with me, that's when it really started to click all together. I'm like, well, this is not just about weight loss.
Right.
This is so much more than that. Yeah, it's hindering my weight loss, but it's also compounded into so many other things.
Mhm.
The irritability, the hair and the hair on my body
Yeah.
was their telltale sign. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not going to hold everybody up, but if anybody wants to put a question in the chat, you can. And thank you guys for joining. I have recorded this session, so it will go online as well. So if you know anybody that would benefit, yes, Stephanie. Stephanie's on here. Stephanie is
Oh,
her sister. So yes. But this is going to be recorded, so I'll send it out in an email format as well. So if you know somebody with PCOS, they don't have to be a patient at all. They can just for some, yes, absolutely. Just for knowledge. And it's helpful to see another person go through what they've gone through and kind of overcome that hurdle.
one thing that Casey told me here recently that has stuck with me, and I even told it to my husband, that your family medical history loads the gun,
Hmm.
but your lifestyle and what you do consistently pulls the trigger.
Right. Absolutely.
So, with my family history of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, that loaded the gun for me. But what I was doing or not doing
Hmm.
was pulling the trigger on all of these medical things that were happening
Hmm.
that I didn't even realize. And I'm so thankful, so thankful to Casey for pointing me in the direction of functional medicine because I really know in my heart and heart that I would still just be on birth control, not able to lose weight, and still sick and tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I I really am thankful for all that you have shared.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm here for. And Allison knows I'm a very direct and frank person. So I don't
That's why
like I didn't sugarcoat it. I said, "Here, sister, this is what's coming your way if you don't make any changes." And you're only in your early, at this point in time, you were in your early to mid 30s. So she's a like,
I'm mid- I was in my mid 30s. Yeah.
yeah. So we're people think that these things happen to old people. Like we're talking about a 30 something year old woman that was like staring down the barrel of diabetes and heart disease probably within the next 10 years. So, it just my duty as a provider, knowing what I know and just as her friend to make sure that she had that information. So absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing everything with me and with
You're very
everybody else here. And thank you to everybody else that has joined us. And like I said, I will kind of edit the video a little bit and get it sent out. And you guys are welcome to share it with anybody that has PCOS or I think it's 1 in 8 women that struggle with PCOS, and not every woman has the same symptoms. Some women with PCOS still have periods. Some women with PCOS are really lean. So
yeah.
PCOS does not automatically guarantee an overweight or obese body type. So PCOS comes in many different forms.
So,
Okay, well, everybody have a good night and thank you.
all
Thank
right.
you,
Thank
Allison.
Yeah. Bye
Bye.
bye.